So, this week we're talking a little bit in our class about what privilege is, and I can't help but think about my experience with working for Department of Social and Health Services, Aging and Long-Term Services Administration with the Office of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. There are many privileges that we as hearing people have, being able to hear conversations, being able to understand what people are saying. But I want to share with you a situation that has happened a couple times where I work for the Office of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. It's a privilege to be able to have the ability to hear, but with a staff of 16 people and at least 7 or 8 staff being deaf or hard of hearing, there's a disadvantage because they lose the ability of the importance of communication or important details. And there was a situation a couple times throughout the years. As a state employee, we are required to take certain trainings, anywhere from sexual harassment to being able to handle funds in regards to checks and so forth. And every time the department or posted videos that we were to watch, there was a situation one year prior to our director coming on board, our new director Ernest coming on board, and we always had this situation where our videos were not closed captioned. Now imagine if you're sitting there as a deaf person looking at the video. You, in a way, are losing the importance of communication. What is the video saying? Are you supposed to be able to mind read? Now, mind you, there was no sign language interpreter signing the videos. There was no subtitles or closed captioning happening. And so it became so frustrated every time throughout 3 or 5 years prior to our director coming on board. We had a former director, Debbie O'Willow, who said the same thing. Hey, you guys need to make sure as a department within HR to make sure our videos are meeting the communication requirements for the deaf staff. And so time after time after time we would say, and then the office would advocate from our deputy secretary at the time within our administration saying, hey, videos are not being closed captioned. Videos are not meeting the needs of being able to meet the needs of our deaf staff. If you are required, us as deaf staff, to watch the mandatory videos as mandatory trainings. So it took a good hard fight with our new director, Ernest, talking with his boss, the Secretary of Aging and Long-Term Services Administration, advocating for our office and saying, hey, you guys need to be able to close caption the required training videos because there are deaf staff who have no idea what the videos are saying. They're not mind readers, and they are losing the opportunity to have the right to communication. And so, in a way, I see that as a privilege because if you're not giving someone equal access in terms of communication, how are they required to meet the standards or the requirements that is asked of them? And so, long story straight is after a long couple of meetings with HR and with the Assistant Secretary for Aging and Long-Term Services Administration, it finally sunk in to the Department of Social and Health Services HR department that it is vital, it is important that you give our deaf staff the privilege and the right to equal communication. And you need to and you have to be able to make sure all training videos or all videos coming from the department is closed caption. And I think that's very important. And sooner or later, our office had also worked with TVW, which is a governmental uh, show that hosts the different legislative hearings or events happening on the state level in terms of government, whether it be with the governor, whether it be with the Supreme Court. And they worked with TVW to make sure that closed captioning and or an interpreter is signing, because there are well over 4,000 deaf or hard of hearing citizens here in the state of Washington who deserve that right. And so I think it's a privilege and it's important that everybody who is either deaf or hard of hearing have equal access to communication.